Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today you are joining me here in my cabin on this cruise, and we are going to be talking about the topic of packing. If you've never taken a cruise before, then the topic of packing might be blowing your mind, and you might be aware of the fact that there's quite a lot to think about. But don't worry, it's not as complicated as some might make out and as you might think it is at the moment. In this video today, I am going to share with you 10 things that I will never ever cruise without. If you take these 10 things on your future cruises, then hopefully it's going to make the experience so much simpler and generally just so much better. If you do enjoy this video today, and if you find it useful, then please do consider supporting my channel by clicking both the thumbs up and the subscribe buttons. Now let's get started with the first of 10 things, and for that, we're talking about water bottles. I will always take a reusable water bottle on a cruise with me for the simple reason that in a cruise ship cabin, if you want to have water delivered, that's going to cost you extra. However, if you bring your own reusable water bottle, you can always go somewhere to fill that up. That usually means that you'll head to somewhere like the onboard buffet, where there will be water refill stations that you're able to use cups to transfer water into your water bottle. Or on some ships, you might find bottle refill stations all around the ship. That's more likely on the much newer ships, but even the older ones will have ways for you to fill up. There's water available 24 hours a day on board. I always recommend packing a Chili's bottle, which is very good at keeping hot drinks hot or cold drinks cold for hours at a time. I do have an Amazon store, which I will mention a couple of times in this video, but you can find water bottles just like this one over there, but I would always recommend going with Chili's. Now that moves us on to item number 2. You can probably tell that I've got all these items lined up right here ready to walk you through. Number 2, we're staying on the topic of drinks actually, and we're talking about reusable coffee cups. I will always take a reusable coffee cup on my cruise with me for a number of reasons. First, if I go somewhere and order a coffee, if there's nowhere to sit down, it can then be very difficult to be balancing whatever you're carrying, plus a coffee, plus everything else, to then walk around the ship to find a seat to relax in. If you've got one of these travel mugs, it makes life so much more straightforward. The other real benefit to packing your own reusable coffee mug is that lots of cruise lines now have completely removed disposable or takeaway single-use cups. That means that you have to get your coffee in a mug to then sit down somewhere to drink, or if you go around on the open decks, you're walking around with a mug, which is much better to be drank at a table inside. If you've got your coffee cup, then you can just pass that to the member of the crew who's at the coffee machine. They can fill that up, and then you can just go anywhere with it. So number 1, a Chili's bottle to refill water. Number 2, a reusable coffee cup. Number 3, we are changing topic very quickly. Stugaron. We need to talk about motion sickness medication. Up until one of my most recent cruises, I had never experienced seasickness. And when it hit, it really hit. I honestly felt as though I was out of action for most of the day at sea. There was only one sea day on that itinerary, and yeah, I was knocked for most of it, which was really, really annoying and really disappointing, to be honest. Now, I've taken more than 50 cruises, and I've never, ever needed to take a seasickness pill. However, on that one, I did. I ate green apples, I had ginger tea, which apparently are 2 things that really help, and I had one of these. I'm not sure if these tablets will be international, but where I'm from in the UK, Stugaron is a great brand. You can buy these over the counter in your local pharmacy. You can usually also buy them in supermarkets. So wherever you are, look for this or look for the equivalent in your country and take it with you on your cruise, because I always say you're better to have and not need than to need and not have. Now let's move on to number 4. The 4th thing that I would never ever cruise without is a coloured pen or a highlighter. You may be wondering why I would travel with a coloured pen or a highlighter on a cruise. Well, it's really simple. every single day of the cruise, you will get a daily schedule delivered to your cabin. And in fact, I have one of them right here. Now, your daily schedule will feature all of the events that are taking place on board every single day of the cruise, whether you're at sea or whether you're in port. There's a lot going on, isn't there? Now, if you go to bed the night before with your daily schedule and your coloured pen, it's really simple for you to just circle everything that you want to do the following day. That then means that when you wake up the following morning, you can then just really quickly review your schedule without having to go through the detail of every single row or every single column on this bit of paper. Some cruise lines operate with less fully packed itineraries, but this one, there's a lot going on. So I would always say pack a coloured pen or a highlighter and you'll be in pretty good stead. Fifth, an international travel adapter. So many people don't think about this before they take their first cruise, but cruise ships have a whole variation of power outlets on board. If you're boarding a ship that's a British cruise ship, you'll probably find that the power outlets will accommodate a British plug, but you might find that the power outlet will be for European plugs or American plugs. That can apply to wherever you're cruising in the world. Generally speaking, if you look at the nation that owned that cruise ship, that will usually give you a good indication of what those power outlets will be. For example, the cruise ship that I am currently on is owned by P&O Cruises, which is a British-based cruise line. That means that all of the power outlets in my cabin are accommodating British plugs. But if you were to cruise with a line like Carnival from the USA, then you'll probably find that most of the power outlets in those cabins will be for US plugs. Now, how do I get around that? What I take is this international travel adapter. This means that regardless of which type of plug you have for your devices, you just simply slide a dial on the side of the plug and the relevant adapter for that part of the world will come out. It's really, really clever. Packing a plug like this allows you to just pack one plug for pretty much anywhere in the world that you're going to be travelling to, because this one alone will cover the US, Australia, the UK, and also the European countries. So you will find that if you're cruising to any other parts of the world, they probably will also accommodate this type of adapter. Going back to my Amazon store, you can find this exact plug or this exact adapter in my Amazon store. You're able to plug on this side your plug-in, and you've also got various USBs on the bottom as well. So you can charge quite a lot of different items on here. So if you've only got one or two plugs, like in the case of this cabin, something like this is probably going to help, because you could run, for example, a hairdryer, 2 or 3 different iPhones, plus a micro USB as well. So head down to the description of this video and you'll find a link to my Amazon store. Now that brings us on to the next thing that I will never, ever travel without. And this one is very important. Formal wear. This is my tie that I have packed for this cruise, but on some cruise lines, a standard tie would be pretty casual and probably a little bit too informal for the dining at night on the more formal gala nights. On this cruise, I've been absolutely fine with this, but I have also packed a bow tie in my bag, just in case on the first formal night I thought, oh, I'm really underdressed, I need to change. So yes, formal wear, make sure you research your specific cruise line's formal wear dress code and get it right. Number 7, a power bank. When I started cruising, I never travelled with power banks, and I always just had workarounds for not having power at certain parts of the cabin. But the more cruises that I've started to take, the more it's really started to annoy me that I can't have power beside my bed. In the example of this cabin that I'm in right now, there are no power outlets on either side of the bed, meaning that I would have to charge my device all the way over here all through the night. Now that is probably okay for most people, but at home, I always enjoy having my phone directly beside the bed through the night. That means that when my alarm clock goes off in the morning, I can just reach out to turn it off. I don't have to get up and walk over to the other side of the cabin. Now, how does a power bank solve that problem? Well, it's simple. You can charge your power bank over here on this power outlet, and then when you go to bed, simply take your power bank over to there and leave your phone plugged in all through the night. I just think it's such an easy way to solve what would be a pretty annoying scenario. Now, I also travel with a second power bank, which means that I've then got a second power source that I usually will take off the ship with me to then keep my phone charged while I'm in port. I should say that if you are relying on bedside power for medical reasons, then a power bank like this probably is not going to be what you would want. But if you speak to your cruise line, many of them can offer you power extension cables that will allow you to have a plug over there. But if I was to go down for the simple purpose of charging my phone, I probably would be at the bottom of the priority list. So if you are in that camp, bring a portable power bank and you'll be absolutely fine. And by the way, you can find these over in my Amazon store. Number 8, and we're getting on to what some would imagine is a pretty boring topic. The 8th item that I will never, ever, ever take a cruise without is a laundry bag. You might not want to think about laundry while you're cruising, but for me, it's something that I think about every single day on board. The reason for that is that when I take off clothes at the end of the evening, what I don't want to do is leave them in the bottom of the wardrobe or leave them under the bed. I want them to be away somewhere clean and tidy so that I don't have to look at the socks that I took off 4 days ago as I approach the end of my cruise. Carrying a laundry bag is really, really simple, and all you do is gather it all up in here, and then you're good to go at the end of the cruise, and all of your dirty laundry is in one place. On some cruise ships, like the one that I'm currently travelling on, they will have self-service laundry rooms, meaning that as a passenger, you can pop along to do your own laundry all during the day. Now, why does having a laundry bag make that process easier? Well, it's really simple. If you don't have a laundry bag, you've got to find a way to gather all of your dirty laundry to then carry it along the corridor, which sometimes can be pretty far away because these laundry rooms aren't always on the same deck as your cabin or stateroom. Then you have to get all your clean laundry back again once it comes out of the washer. So you get the picture. That whole process would just be so much simpler if you had a laundry bag to take along with you. That way, all you carry is this bag, you pop it all in the machine, and then you're good to go. Number 9, money. You might not think about taking cash on your cruise because every cruise ship that I've ever cruised on has been a completely cashless environment. That means that when you go to a bar, when you check in at a restaurant, when you go anywhere, maybe you buy something in a gift shop, you will charge whatever you're doing to your cabin or stateroom account via your room key. That then will be settled towards the end of the cruise, either in cash or the money will come out of your bank account, and at no point will you hand physical money over unless you do that cash settlement that we mentioned down at guest services to close off your account at the end of the cruise. Now, why do I bring loose cash with me? Well, it's really simple. If you're in port, some places that you go might not be great from a contactless or a chip and pin point of view, meaning that it's so much simpler and sometimes the only method of payment if you use cash. If you travel with just a card and you arrive in a country or a city or a town that only really operates in cash, you're going to really limit yourself with what you can and can't do. Now, on that point, what cash would I recommend you travel with? Well, I'm currently cruising in Europe, and I travel with both my home currency and also the currency local to where I'm cruising. The reason that I travel with the currency local to where I'm cruising is pretty obvious based on what I've just said. When you get to port, you probably will want to have some cash available. So why do I carry my local home British currency when at no point will this cruise ship that we're on visit the UK? Well, that one's pretty simple too. On board there is an incredibly hard-working crew, and from time to time, someone might go over and above the basic expectation, and you might want to show your appreciation through a cash tip. In my experience, I generally will tip for a member of crew the currency that that ship or that cruise line is from. So in this case, Even although we're not going to Britain at any point, on a P&O Cruises ship, I would be much more likely to show my appreciation with a pound sterling, which is the British currency, tip. If I'm on an American cruise ship out of Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Los Angeles, for example, I would be much more likely to tip using the US dollar. So just exercise common sense, whatever you think is going to work. But generally speaking, whatever currency you want to tip with, it's greatly appreciated. And I believe the crew have then got a way to change currency around on board. I'm sure that they will gladly take whatever you would like to show your appreciation with. No problem at all. Now, number 10. This one is very different actually to all of the other ones that we've covered so far, but it's arguably one of the most important. The 10th thing that I will never, ever take a cruise without is a very diverse wardrobe, regardless of where I'm cruising and totally regardless of the time of year. On this cruise alone, I am in the Canary Islands, which is just off the coast of Africa. It should be warm and it should be dry for the whole week, but in my bag, I have got a waterproof poncho. I have also got my swimming shorts, and I have also got a relatively thick waterproof Gore-Tex jacket. Now, the reason that I will always travel with a heavily diverse wardrobe is because if we arrive in port one day and it is pouring with rain, that's okay, because I've got my rain jacket here and I will remain dry. Well, I won't remain dry, but I'll be more comfortable all through the day because I've got the right level of dress. If I only pack shorts and t-shirt for what should be this week a relatively mild or even warm cruise, and it rained, well, I wouldn't be very comfortable getting off the ship, would it? So always remember, your cruise ship is going to travel, it's going to move around. That can mean that the climate that you start your cruise in will be different to what you'll experience during the cruise. If you're cruising from New York City to the Caribbean over winter, you're going to find, hopefully, that the climate you encounter in the Caribbean will be different to what you had in New York at the start of the cruise. Similarly, if you cruise from somewhere like Southampton in England, the weather will be relatively unpredictable. I hate to say it, but for a large part of the year. But when you get down to the side of Spain or the south of Spain or even the Mediterranean, you're probably going to be encountering much, much warmer weather. So that's it. That is 10 things that I will never, ever take a cruise without. Hopefully you found this video useful. If you have, then please do think about supporting my channel by clicking both the thumbs up and the subscribe buttons. If you'd like to join me in another video, then please do. I've got so many more on my channel, like this one. Over here in this video, I share with you some of the big mistakes that first-time and relatively inexperienced cruisers were making when I started cruising, and they still are today. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll hopefully see you over there.